Have you ever wondered what really makes a workplace tick? You know, why some teams just click and everything flows smoothly, while other teams seem to constantly clash? Well, today, we're going to dive into the science of all that, the super fascinating field of organizational behavior. So here's our game plan. We'll start by breaking down what organizational behavior actually is. Then, we'll look at the three main levels it focuses on: the individual, the group, and the organization as a whole. And finally, we'll get to the big why, the ultimate goal of studying all this stuff. All right, first things first. If we really want to understand what goes on at work, we need some kind of framework. And I'm not talking about office gossip or just gut feelings. This is about taking a systematic approach to a really fundamental question. And this is it. This is the question at the very heart of organizational behavior. We see it every single day, don't we? Why is one person always so motivated and another just seems to be, well, punching the clock? OB gives us the tools to go beyond just noticing these things and to actually start understanding them.
So here's the official definition. A couple of phrases here are super important. First, field of study. That tells you right away that OB is a science. It's not just a collection of opinions. And what does it investigate? The impact of three key things: individuals, groups, and the overall structure of the company. And the goal? It's completely practical, to use all that knowledge to help make the organization itself more effective.
To get our heads around the whole organization, we've got to start with the smallest, most important part, the individual person. This is what we call the micro-level view. And really, it's the foundation for everything else. Think about it. A company doesn't just hire a set of skills from a resume, it hires a whole person. A person with a unique personality, their own set of values, and different things that motivate them. This micro-level analysis is all about zooming in on those internal factors, the stuff that really drives how a person acts and feels at work. So here are some of the key things we look at on this level: a person's personality, their core values and attitudes, what gets them motivated, and of course their job satisfaction. For instance, just knowing whether someone is motivated by public praise or by a tough new challenge can help a manager create a much, much better work environment. Getting these building blocks right is absolutely step one. But, you know, people rarely work in a bubble. They're in teams, they're in project groups, they're in departments. So, what happens when all those unique personalities start bouncing off each other? Well, that brings us to our next level of analysis, the group, or what we call the meso-level. And this is where things get really interesting, because the focus shifts from just one person's internal world to this complex web of relationships. How does a team communicate when the pressure is on? How do leaders actually influence their groups, for good or for bad? This is where we study collaboration, power, and, yep, conflict. You see, once people get together in a group, totally new forces start to emerge. An individual has their own personal motivation, sure, but a team develops this kind of collective energy. A single person has skills, but a group has to meet performance goals. And leadership? Well, leadership can't even exist without a group to lead. So at this meso level, we're studying how teams actually work, how information flows between people or where it gets stuck. We look at how influence is used, and we also dive deep into conflict. Not as something bad and needs to be crushed, but as a natural dynamic that, if you manage it well, can actually spark better ideas and stronger results. Okay, so we've got the individual and we've got the group. Now let's zoom out one last time to the biggest picture, the macro level. The organization is one complete system. This is like the blueprint that shapes everything happening inside it. At this level, we're looking at the really high-level forces. The company's official structure, its culture, its policies, all the stuff that creates the world everyone works in. If the group level is about how the players interact on the field, you could say the macro level is about the rules of the game itself.
Here, we're asking those big picture questions, like what are the unwritten rules around here, the real corporate culture? Is the company a strict top-down pyramid, or is it more like a flexible, collaborative network? How does the organization deal with big changes? The answers to these questions have a massive top-down effect on everything from daily work to long-term morale.
Okay, so we've looked at the individual, the group, and the whole organization. But why? Why does any of this matter? What's the point of it all? And that brings us to the ultimate purpose behind organizational behavior. You know, the purpose is really two-sided. This isn't some zero-sum game where for the company to win, the employee has to lose. Not at all. OB aims to create a workplace where boosting the company's performance also improves the employee's experience.
By understanding motivation at the individual level, making communication better at the group level, and designing a fair structure at the organizational level, you create a system that's both super efficient and a genuinely great place to work.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's about creating a technology, a systematic, proven method for improving performance. And what's the outcome? You get employees who are more productive and happier, and that in turn creates organizations that are more effective and more efficient. It's this powerful, positive loop.
So that brings us to a final thought for you. Now that you can see your own workplace through these three different lenses, the individual, the group, and the organization, how do you think applying that understanding could actually change your own experience at work? Something to think about.